What's up, guys? So it's election day. I'm sure most of you guys have already voted. It's about that time. So this video, it's just up front, it's just going to be an opinion piece. Okay, this is just my personal opinion. It is going to be more right-leaning. I'll try to make points for the left as well to try to keep it centric, but it's going to be more right-leaning. And if you don't want to hear that, then I'm just giving you a fair warning. I feel like it's better to be honest up front, right? So here are some of my fears that I have if Biden ends up winning, which I think he probably is going to win, because I think once again he has the youth vote in a lot of those swing states, and that's the game plan Obama followed, and that's kind of the way it's going. So first we're going to talk about packing the court and stuff. So essentially, if you looked at every single dictatorship in the world, one of the first things they did when they didn't like the game that was being played is they just changed the rules. So if you look at the Supreme Court that we've had 9 Supreme Court justices, literally forever, right, since the country was founded. And if you look at the key members of the Democratic Party, all of them in one way or another has said we're going to have to evaluate and we're going to have to look, right? So they're saying stuff like, oh, the population is growing and whatever, even though that's like I said, in my personal opinion, I think that's horrible. I think that's messing with something that's a strong check and balance. The people that we have, or the 2 judges that we did elect, Kavanaugh and Barrett, the constitutionalists, they're going to follow the Constitution, which ultimately means they're going to try to protect our rights. And if we end up packing it with, let's say, 3 more Supreme Courts, then we are politicizing the Supreme Court. We're politicizing everything. There has to be certain things in government that are bipartisan. So that's my first opinion on things. The second opinion on things is I have a feeling one of the things I'm scared of is causing more of a rift. And let me explain that a little bit. Me and my friend had a conversation earlier today. I wish I could have just recorded it at the time, so save me some time now. But essentially, one of the plans for I'm going to call it what it is, the Harris administration, is to enact a public bureau, okay, for credit scores, which like I said, all policies from the left, for me, on paper they sound great, but in practicality, I don't know how well they actually work out. So essentially, this public bureau credit score thing is going to be something that's going to allow the minority population or the colored population to have access to homes and to have access to student loans and possibly even other financial institutions and financial money. Now, on the face, that sounds great, right? Wouldn't we want to lift everybody up, right? The problem I see with that is if you have someone who is white and then they're also applying for an FAH loan, and you have someone who is colored and they're also applying for an FAH loan, that they're going to favor the colored over the white. And it's like, okay, so why is that different? Because that is like essentially racism. You shouldn't look at just the color, right? And for me, it's like, if they're bidding on the same property, they're going to say, hey, you have to go with this person rather than, this person. And that causes a divide. Exactly, and truth is, America did have an ugly past. Absolutely it did. We used gerrymandering to make sure that we kept certain people in power. We did have redlining where we kept minorities out of, certain areas. And now it's kind of like we're paying the favor. But 2 wrongs don't make it right. And I feel like that's going to divide us, even more. It shouldn't never be, you getting a loan or you getting into a college or whatever. It should never be on the merits of your skin color or anything like that, or your religion background. It should be on, if you deserve that spot, are you the best candidate for the spot? So those 2 things. And of course, guns. Biden's already said he's going to try to end the gun violence epidemic in America, and he's going to try to incorporate pretty much mass legislation on it, which is like universal background checks and ban semi-automatics, just ban rifles. Once again, looking at it on the other side, who doesn't want background checks? You want to make sure a crazy person doesn't get it, but that ultimately is states' rights. It's up to the states, and every state has their own procedure. And if they need to change that, depending on what's going on in that state, they need to do it at the local level. I don't think government should get involved infringing on such a big constitutional right. That's one of my opinions right there on the fact that the fact of the matter is that. And ultimately, let's talk about the election itself. So they already said that they're not going to secede. So if Trump ends up winning, which is, there's always a possibility that they're not going to secede to it, and they're going to continue to drag this out. And the same thing is going to happen for the Senate seats. And my fear is it's going to come down to one of the craziest things that's ever happened in our history is a presidential election is going to be decided in multi-states, with these late ballots. And we're not going to be able to accept it. We're going to have this huge, division. And I was too young, and I haven't, forgive me, but I haven't, this is my opinion, I haven't done my homework on the Bush administration and the 2000 against Bush versus Gore and how the Florida thing came down. Now, I don't know if it went to the Supreme Court as in our federal Supreme Court, because there's a Supreme Court at the state level. But if we're talking about key democratic states who have, their own people, their own little cronies in place, and they're the ones that get to decide where the electoral colleges go, well, it's really not that hard to predict which way they're going to lean. Essentially, you have an election that's been hijacked. That's a little bit scary, and for me, another thing is if the Democrats get House, they get the Senate, they get the president, they stuff it, and they get the Supreme Court, they could literally pass anything they want. So they could get rid of the electoral college. So if you don't live on the coast of the United States, no one cares about you anymore. They could do away with that. They could pass any type of legislation they want. They're not going to listen to the other half of the country. Whether you're watching this, if you're a liberal or not, I respect your views, but I'm not so sure that your party respects our views as conservatives. And if you shut down half the country, you're going to lead down a way that's ultimately going to have to either it's either going to lead to a violent end or just a separation where we have two different Americas. No, I mean literally have two separate Americas. And to me, it feels like the enemies of America have won because they finally conquered us, because they divided us. America will never be great again. And I don't think so much that it's Trump. No, I think it's the idea of America that people really have a problem with. Trump was just the face. And if you ask my opinion on Antifa, I think it's genius. I think George Soros and his cronies and the billionaires of this world that really want to control you won. Because what they did is they made a bunch of LLCs, they donated it all to these Antifa people, and they got this up and going. They don't care about BLM. They don't give a damn about your rights. What they care about is their ability to continue to do business in China and to get the military-industrial complex still rolling, so they get their pockets paid and they can send your children over to fight. Because Trump hasn't sent anyone over to fight. Trump has actually got us out of Syria. Well, if Biden gets in, you best believe we're going to start dabbling everywhere. And the whole idea of, using Antifa is genius, right? Because what happens? You use them to stir this up, use this to call Trump a racist, get the media behind it. Trump gets out. The main problem for them is out of the way. Now it's back to business as usual. Now you could just defund Antifa and you could go back to what it is. And it's also an insurance policy that if Trump does win, well, then we just ramp up the spending so bad until we get our way. If you really take a step back and look at it, that's what it really is at its core. Once you start to understand that, you understand how war games are played, you're going to be like, holy shit, there might be a point here. Now, obviously, only thing that I have to prove that George Soros funds it, if you look at his cell corporations, that's a fact. Now, what their ultimate goal is, and if you don't know much about Soros, he's been, widely, labeled in all these conspiracy theories. But I got to say one thing is he's an economist at heart. For him, the ends will always justify the means. A little tidbit about him, if you didn't know, when he was younger, he was a Jew, and he actually served in Nazi Germany. His father was friends with a high-ranking Nazi official. They said that he was a Nazi, and he stayed there. And he actually went around and, checked off when the Nazis invaded the Jewish people's homes and they were saying, hey, what valuables and goods they have, he was the one documenting. They asked him, did you not feel guilty about that or whatever? And his response was, well, if I didn't do it, somebody else would. So to him, the ends were always going to justify the means. And it's not just Soros, it's just the larger, community of Democrats that are rich. Why would they want to get taxed more? Why would they want to do this? Well, they want to do this because they want to add more regulation. They want to stop people from being able to come up, because the more regulation you add, the harder you make it to actually make something of yourself. They win. You will always stay beneath them. They already won. They're already at the mountain. So of course they want to bring everybody else up because they will always come up. If they let everything be free and there's competition, they don't like that because there's a chance that they could fall off the mountaintop. That's why you see this push for national health care. I made the post. If you had a chance to look at the post, I think it's a very clear objective. Deregulate, make a bunch of clinics, and put regulations on pharma. And then once we have the prices of everything come down because we have more competition, then we could talk about universal health care. So if we do universal health care now, it's just like, okay, here's a blank check. Fuck the taxpayers. We don't care about what's going on because, you know, when the government writes a check, they don't care. It's not coming out of anyone's pocket. It's coming out of our taxes. You know, it's different when you run your own business and you do your own thing. You're going to think twice, long and hard. But when the money's not yours, excuse me, and it doesn't really matter, who really cares? So ultimately, these are all the things that are bothering me. These are all the reasons that I'm like, wow, this country could change really dramatically. And it doesn't stop there. If you don't think the Democrats are going to stop there, it's going to keep going. They're going to build their perfect, in their eyes, a utopia. They're going to want to do, rent control and more housing projects. They're going to want to do, and like I said, all these things on paper sound right. Everybody wants the best for society. We just have different ways of getting there. I personally think money is spent from the individual when the individual makes choices. But if you let government make choices, I think there's a lot of waste. I hope I'm wrong. I hope if Biden and Harris do win, that they respect the way that our country was built upon and founded. I hope they respect our rights, and I hope they do things the right way. I hope they don't pack the court. I hope they don't just try to fundamentally change America and rebuild it in their image, that they respect what so many people have fought and died for. But all we could do now is hope. We did our part. We voted. We have to sit back. And me, I'm going to accept it. And I'm not going to accept it with hate if Biden or Harris win. I'm going to expect it. I'm going to come with open arms and open mind and open eyes. And I want to listen to what they have to say. I want to see the policies they bring out. And I would like to say, what they plan on doing and not just what they're talking about. Because saying is one thing, but doing is the other. But then when the plan actually comes in, let's see how it works out. Hey, if it works out great, then what are we complaining about? We're going to have a better society. I'll say, hey, you know what? I was 100% wrong. They were right. I was very ignorant for not, believing in them or trusting the government to work. Yeah, everything will be, sunshines and rainbow and stuff. But if it's wrong, you best believe I'm going to call it out. But, this is the reality we're living in right now. So let's see what happens. Either way, I hope you guys stay safe tonight. I hope all the officers out there getting ready for our riot control stay safe. And I hope all the business owners tomorrow could show up and open their doors for business without having their businesses thrashed. That's it. See you guys in the next video.